Should this be a concern to anyone that's like involved in Bitcoin or any other e-currency, that now the banks, especially if Chase is starting to get involved, is this a concern of their way to trying to control this and take it away so that once again the establishment has full power over anything and the little person is left holding the bag or gets nothing at all?
No. First of all, if you have a lot of Bitcoin, you don't have extra power over the Bitcoin protocol. It doesn't matter if you're like Michael Saylor with billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin or somebody with $10 worth of Bitcoin. They're equal. Neither has the ability to control the protocol. That's different than the fiat money world, where the more fiat money you have, the easier it is to make laws in Washington that favor your exploits as a fiat money baron. So that's the situation we live in now. As far as Jamie Dimon and any other banker coming in to the space, or a hedge fund manager, or insurance companies, endowments, this is something that is predictable. And we talked about it now for 5 or 6 years as being inevitable, because Bitcoin's a new asset class. They're in the business of the asset class management business, and therefore, ipso facto, they have no choice but to have a position on Bitcoin. They can't ignore it, because then their board of directors would fire Jamie Dimon, because he can't willfully, as a fiduciary, his responsibility is such that he would be committing an act of professional misconduct if he were to ignore Bitcoin at this point. So he's been forced to capitulate. And everyone will be forced to capitulate, and everyone gets the price they deserve. Jamie Dimon first heard about Bitcoin at $10. He didn't really start buying it until it was $50,000. Same thing with Peter Schiff. I told him about it at $1. He still hasn't bought any, but he will capitulate eventually, like his son already has capitulated. He'll eventually capitulate, who knows where, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, but everyone will eventually capitulate. The only question is at what price? You've got Nassim Taleb, who's resisting it. He will also capitulate. Patrick Bet-Davis, somebody I did an interview with 9 months ago when Bitcoin was at $9,000. He was unable to, he had the egomaniacal barrier that separated him from having the humility to understand Bitcoin. So he didn't buy it at 9,000, but now he's warming up to it at 50, 60,000, right? So everybody gets the price they deserve. It's just a matter of what price they're going to get into it. But nobody will escape it. No institution, no sovereign wealth fund, no central bank, because the energy is insatiable. The protocol will find any bit of energy it can and convert it into Bitcoin.
All right. Now, I think there's also another thing to bring up too, and that is Elon Musk, for example, or at least to be more precise, it was Tesla, for example, that bought in Bitcoin as well. And now it's also saying that, anyone that wants to buy a Tesla can use Bitcoin as a form of payment. And maybe that kind of goes back to an earlier question I was asking you about how it will eventually become part of our daily life, to where it's something that we have to have. With people like Elon Musk embracing Bitcoin, and to some extent, I'd like to get your opinion on DOGE, the Doge coins. What are your initial thoughts on at least that also being embraced by people who are well known on social media and have such a large social media following, like Elon Musk, for example?
Well, nothing competes with Bitcoin.
Okay.
So any other so-called crypto coin is, by definition, is centralized and tends to get more centralized. Bitcoin is the only asset in the world ever that trends toward decentralization. That's a unique property of this asset. We've never ever seen it before in anything, because usually in capitalist systems, they trend toward monopolization, they trend toward oligopolization, and we tend to have high concentrations of wealth in every situation we've seen in history. With Bitcoin, it's the opposite, and it's the only asset that figured this out. It actually gets more decentralized as time goes forward. So once you talk about anything else, whether it's one of these altcoins, gold, which is always gone towards centralization, any kind of fiat money, any kind of property, collectibles, anything, it ends up skewing toward centralization. So it doesn't compete. It doesn't mean that These other coins also are used as gambling instruments, and gambling is a big industry. People go to Las Vegas and they gamble, but and there's a business around it. If Musk wants to gamble on something, I mean, for entertainment purposes, that's his choice, but you can't compare it to Bitcoin, but he's welcome to have fun with gambling. I go to Vegas too sometimes, and it's a lot of fun.